Will told me about a dream he had, or he had a dream, but an experience he had in his bedroom. And it was common for him, it was very common for him to wake up and think that he was in the Pacific on an island. And he would think he was hallucinating his bedroom, but he was really in a foxhole in the Pacific. Are you following what I'm saying? Okay. This happened in 1984 is what he told me about. And he said this to me like he was just talking about changing the oil in his car when he told me this, when he started talking about it. He said, I almost killed my wife once, and I gasped. He said, she tried to wake me up because I was having a nightmare. I thought she was a Jap. I remember thinking, she looks like my wife. He thinks he's in the foxhole. But I'm not married. He wasn't married to her. I must be going Asiatic. I think I'm home, and I think this Jap is my girl, and she's trying to wake me up, but it's really a Jap, and he's going to kill me if I don't get him first. And then his training clicked in. And I had my thumbs under her eyeballs, and I began digging. And this is how they take a breath. Take a breath. If you're feeling uncomfortable, please step out. This is how they would kill in hand-to-hand combat. I still think God had something to do with me not killing her, but I dug my thumbs in. I dug my thumbs in. And then he said, she screamed, Will, Will, it's me, Joanne, wake up, Will, Will. And then he thought, Japs can't say L's. Now that's not a joke. Their code words always had L's in them. And he shudders because he thinks, what if my name was Dan? What if my name was Bob? What if my name was Jim? And I said, Will, it's not. It's not. Your name's Will. And he thanks God his name is Will. He stopped just in time. His wife did have some bruising, but he shudders when he tells me this story. And he thinks, would I have killed her if my name wasn't Will? One of the unfortunate effects of PTSD, everybody take a deep breath. I'm going to be asking you to do that a lot because this is pretty tough stuff. One of the unfortunate effects of PTSD for the vet is the veterans get it, but children also suffer from it. This is a story I have by a woman named Susan. Susan is a child of a Marine from the same battalion. She said she loved her father. Her father rarely became very angry. He had that restricted affect. Is that on this one? Yeah. And using the word fear was not, if you used fear and war in the same sentence, it was not allowed in her house. The family had gathered for a picnic, and they were all together for his 70th birthday. Everybody was having a good time, and somehow the subject of war came up. And Susan, she told me she made the error of saying, if I was in war, I'm afraid I'd climb in a foxhole. I'd be so scared I'd never get out. Her father flew out of his chair. This is a man that was always quiet. Flew out of his chair and roared at her. You do your goddamn job. Do you hear me? You do your goddamn job. Don't you ever say that again. And he never lost his temper. And he stormed into the house, and her mother just sat there, and everybody was silent, sharing the silent agreement. She walked into the house after him, and she saw her father trembling, and she had never seen him tremble before, and he was pouring a stiff drink. And she felt ashamed, but they never talked about it. Never talked about it. Take a breath again, folks. Here's another. Do I have time to do this one, Mike?
We're running kind of short.
Okay. Should I not do this one?
Yeah.
Do it?
Why don't you skip it, I think.
Skip it. Okay. So everybody take a breath. Now I don't know where I am because I skipped that. Oh. I can summarize?
Yeah.
Okay, I should. Okay. When I first met this 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, the phenomenon I saw throughout the whole, my interviews with them, and as not really interviews, conversations, as I talked to them, their silent agreement takes on many forms. One is joking, and they'll talk about how the major wanted to bring back a live Jap, and they didn't do that. There was, they kept on killing them. Geneva Convention, I mean, it was kill or be killed. They would talk about geographical parts or conditions of the war, like malaria or who took what ridge. They would talk about things on the surface. One time I made what for them was an error of asking them about friendly fire. The room went silent, total freeze out. No one said a word to me. And next time I'll be talking to them about what it'd be like to talk about friendly fire. Or they'd abruptly change subjects. Last time I was with them, I told them, you know, you guys, my mom said to me that Dad tried to kill her in her sleep. Just put it right on the table. And I said, if that happened to any of you, which I knew it already did because they all talked to me separately, why don't you just talk about it? And again, deadly silent. And they began talking. And they began hugging and crying and healing. I was going to also talk about separating the war out, but I don't need to do that since you did that. Okay. One of the guys told me, oops, this is Will, and this comes from a man who I think is very wise. He said, you can't come back from something like what we went through and not be disturbed. There's something very, very wrong with you if you're not disturbed. And I'll end there. And Michael will be doing the section on the physiological causes, and after that we'll be doing a section on treatment. Thank you.